Hey guys, welcome back to What the Fat. I have a very special guest today, someone that I actually just met today here at an event where we basically brought together a lot of keto influencers, people that are passionate and excited about keto, and all came together and we answered just a ton of questions, really came together and figured out, all right, what does it truly mean to be in ketosis? What are some challenges and complications that we face as a community to really help progress this conversation forward? And so I have with me Natalie Rose, and amazing person. You asked some incredible questions that I think are really relevant. And you tend to work a lot with females, which I know a lot of females listen to this podcast. And so just to give everyone a background, we're going to do a quick little keto. We're going to do quick keto, 10 questions, knock it out, and get really people to know you, get to know your insights, and get your perspective on things. So just as a background, explain to people what you do, and then after that, how did you first learn about keto? I'm curious.
Yeah, awesome. So thank you for the wonderful introduction. I personally work with females in the fitness space, all online, so fitness consulting, helping women feel confident in their skin and their bodies from the inside out so they can create their greatest impact in the world. And that's all done through my online fitness and nutrition coaching.
Love it, love it. And so you work with a lot of these women, and what kind of made you make a switch and say, hey, keto might be a viable option for some of these women?
So I was my own experiment during this process, and so I never recommend or have my clients do something that I myself am not familiar with. So I actually didn't find out about keto until almost a year ago, and I went to a functional health doctor. And for those of you who are not familiar with functional health doctors, what they are is that they are doctors that help prevent diseases and manage your health versus waiting until you already have a disease and it's too late. Now you're trying to fix the problem at hand. So I went to a functional health doctor and I got some pretty extensive blood work done because there was something wrong with my body. I was extremely fatigued for a very, very long time. And I also had a lot of gut issues. You know, in the past, I was diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome, and I went to a gastrointestinal doctor, and he did all these crazy tests on me, collected a whole bunch of samples, and it wasn't a fun process. Because I was experiencing a lot of gas and cramps in my stomach, and you know, there were times where I'd wake up in the middle of the night in pain, curled up in a ball because my stomach was in so much pain. So I knew there was something wrong with me, and everybody was telling me, no, there's nothing wrong with you. So when I went to the functional health doctor, he did some blood work, and the doctor recommended to me going on to a keto diet, and that was the first time I heard of keto. And reason why is because there's a few reasons. In my blood work, it found out that I was precursor for an autoimmune disease, Hashimoto's, and almost type 2 diabetic if I was to continue down the path I was going on. And now granted, I was already eating and living a healthy diet, but it wasn't a ketogenic diet. And so that's where I was introduced to keto.
That's amazing. And so like a lot of times, and we hear it all the time, is a lot of doctors would never recommend that. And so that's cool that you had a functional medicine doctor that literally came in and said, hey, why don't you try this? Especially because there's a lot of data, actually, some interesting stuff with Hashimoto's, but then, of course, all the stuff with increasing insulin sensitivity and preventing a lot of those complications that stem from insulin resistance. I mean, that's amazing.
Right, and you know, and the thing is with functional doctors, typically that's an out-of-pocket expense. They're not covered by health insurance companies, so you really have to be wanting to be proactive about your health and just take that into consideration, and I was ready to do that.
Amazing. And so he recommended it. It was a he or she?
It was a female.
So she recommends this. Amazing. And so then you go into it, and did you get started right away?
So,
how did that go?
No, I actually did not get started right away because I'm in the bodybuilding space too. And when I heard no carbs, I'm like,
oh
what?
I'm going to lose all my muscle.
And at that time, I was eating like 250 to 300 grams of carbs a day, trying to gain weight and wanting to put muscle on my body. So yes, I did not go right into it. And it actually, at that time, I was still working in corporate America. So fitness, I had done coaching on the side, but it was not my full-time career. And so I put it on the back burner. And then when I stepped away from my corporate job and I started diving wade back deep into the health industry and the knowledge and doing more research on leaky gut, which 90% of Americans have it, and you're supposed to avoid grains and sugar. I'm like, well, okay, that's pretty much where most of my carbs are coming from anyways. So when you eat a carb, it turns into sugar in your body. So I was like, well, I guess, shoot, the ketogenic diet's probably my best option because I did also have leaky gut. So it took about, I want to say, a few months before I actually decided, okay, this is the path I'm going to go down. And so I have officially I will be on my 5th month of practicing keto, and it's
Amazing.
honestly been life-changing.
So describe that. So you've seen improvements in your gut health, you've seen improvements in, say, markers of inflammation. What have you seen?
Okay, so I mean, I guess not a lot of females like to talk about this, but I'm going to talk about it. So I experienced gas, and it was not pleasant gas, and I had it honestly quite frequently, and it was the food that I was eating, and I was eating even healthy food. So that is one thing that literally diminished overnight almost when I corrected what I was putting into my body. And so the stomach pain and the cramps, they completely went away. And I did start experiencing more energy, but at first I did not. So I was like, what's going on? I don't have any energy. Where I thought I'm supposed to have energy. However, it actually did end up coming just later on for me. I know everybody's body is different. So the biggest thing for me is that I have had adult acne. Like, I have had acne since middle school. I just turned 29, and my entire life I've had acne on my face, some type of form of pimple, and on my back. And as soon as I changed my diet and the quality of food I was putting in my body, cut out the grains, all the other stuff, I have not had one pimple on my face. And my whole life, I've always wanted clear skin, and it's finally happening, and it's crazy because I have soaked and invested in thousands of dollars into skincare, chemical peels, microdermabrasion, everything, and it's literally, I would put money into my skin, but then I'm still breaking out, causing more problems. So it's obviously the issue was coming from within.
Amazing, amazing. And I've seen the exact same thing. Like, a lot of that's likely contributed to the anti-inflammatory nature.
Yes.
And then you're seeing improvements in your gut microbiome. That's amazing. And I think so many people that are listening to this probably struggle at some capacity with one or both of those. So it's amazing to hear someone who's gone down that avenue, was scared at first, timid, and was like, I don't know about this. And then you kind of went all in. And like you said, now for you, it's a lifestyle. And now I love that you're helping other people implement this and work with them on it. So with that, you work with tons of women. What would you say is the most impactful or the biggest change, other than yourself, because that's amazing, biggest change that you've seen with someone that you've worked with?
Oh my goodness, just it's honestly, I think it's a miracle diet, because the first week I put my clients on this, and I know everybody's body is differently. However, from the experience that I've had with my women, 1 week's worth, they're like a whole different new person. The amount of like body weight that drops off, typically when my clients go on keto, the first week they're dropping about 5 pounds. And it's just, a lot of that is water weight, yes, because when you stop eating carbs, there's not as much water. However, they just feel better. And so I have had so many of my clients get past a weight and get to a weight that they never have thought was possible in their life. They've tried everything. And even there's some clients that I was personally working with where their weight was just stubborn, would not move. They were on a regular diet. The second I switched them over to a ketogenic diet, they've seen a weight that they've never seen before. And it makes them so happy, and to see them transforming, and like knowing that it's just the power of the food, like the power of the body can truly heal the body on its own. That's just so magic to me.
It's amazing, and I talk about this a lot in that people are achieving new normals.
Yeah.
And so people go, well, it's normal for me to feel this way. It's normal for me to feel like crap. It's normal for me to be stuck in this plateau. But then they make a shift like what you're talking about, and then their normal becomes something new. And I think that's so powerful and so amazing.
Yes, and I just want to say one last thing is, with my clients, I used to incorporate cheat meals.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like a free-for-all, but I don't do that anymore. I don't believe in that. Now I have high carb days. And my clients though, before I became very strict on that, you know, I still would allow cheat meals if you want, but I never truly, I personally never supported it, but I know for the average person, they sometimes need that cheat meal to mentally, it's a mental thing, get them through to the next week. So many of my clients, they would get to a point where they would say, Natalie, I don't even want to have a cheat meal. Like, I don't want it. Like, I don't want to drink alcohol, because the first 2.5 weeks of my program, I don't allow them alcohol. And like, it's just so crazy, because it's alcohol is something they'd incorporate like every night, a glass of wine. And then, not saying that alcohol is bad, however, it's just so crazy seeing like their taste buds and like their perception change of what they want to put in their body, and realize they don't need these junk foods or cheat meal to get them through. It's just all mindset, really.
I love it. And that's so true. A lot of times people go into and they go, look at everything I'm going to give up, look at all these things that I can't do, but they don't realize all the potential things they're going to gain.
Right.
I think the mindset piece is huge. So kind of going through, we'll raffle off a couple different things. Your favorite keto recipe? What do you enjoy? Like, do you make food at home? Do you eat out a lot?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely will choose to make food at home. You know, when you eat out a lot, that's when other oils get involved that aren't always the best for your body when it comes to cooking. But yes, so my favorite meal of the day, oh my God, I just love all the food. Like, the ketogenic is such a fun, it's such a fun and easy diet to follow. I sometimes run into people like, it's so hard, and I'm like, what? How? So my favorite meal of the day, I guess, would be breakfast. So bacon, eggs, and whole eggs, and then I use avocado mayo, and then some organic ground stone mustard, and then I do a whole heaping tablespoon of coconut oil, and then I saute it in spinach, so spinach and coconut oil, and that's like my most favorite meal of the day. However, I have figured out a fun recipe, and that is my almond flour chocolate chip cookies. And
amazing. Tell me more.
So it's just let's see, I probably remember it by heart now. So it's a cup of almond flour, and then I buy dark chocolate, and they sell like dark chocolate bars, and I'll just break off a tiny little piece, and I'll cut it up into like really small chunks, just a tiny part of it. You don't need a lot. And then I will cut up some raw organic almonds for some more texture.
Oh, yeah.
And let's see, then I do a little bit of baking soda, and just like a little bit of sea salt, fine grained salt, and
eggs or anything?
One whole egg.
One whole egg.
Yeah, one whole egg, and that's it.
What's the liquid part in that?
Yep, there we go. Oh, and then a tablespoon of organic coconut oil melted, and then you just put it all in a bowl together, and you bake it in the oven for 8 minutes on like 350, and they are just so amazing, and they turn out perfect every time, and it's all health in there. So
that's amazing.
When I make them, I'll save them for the week, and I'll allow myself one a day as like my treat.
Right.
So
I love it. I'm the same way. Chocolate chip cookies are
so yummy, and then with the dark chocolate, you can't go wrong.
It makes it easy, right? It makes it super easy. And do you sweeten it with anything? Like, do you add any sweetener or anything?
Oh, so I do a packet of stevia.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I know stevia is pretty intense with the taste, but it's stevia, right? Yes.
Yeah, well, stevia tends to have a little bit of bitterness on the back end, but I imagine the coconut oil and the almond flour can overcome that.
Yes, and then the recipe directions do say 3, when I first looked up the directions, 3 whole tablespoons of maple syrup, but that has a lot of sugar in it, so I just avoid that altogether, and it's still great.
That's easy. That's great. I gotta try that recipe out for sure.
I'll send it to you.
I'd love that. So let's tell everyone what a day in your life looks like. Do you intermittent fast? Do you eat 3 meals a day, 2 meals a day? What do those meals look like?
Yeah, so I do intermittent fast, and it's so crazy because at first I used to wait until noon to intermittent fast, but then I realized I'm eating at like 11 o'clock at night, trying to scramble food in, which is not good for you. And I just recently found out that our organs actually have their own circadian rhythm. So when the sun comes up, that's when they kind of start turning on. So I do now eat first thing in the morning, and I do 12-hour windows. of intermittent fast. So I know, I guess technically it's 8 hours is what most people do.
Yeah, 12 is great.
But yeah, so 12.
What time do you start eating?
So 8 a.m.
Okay,
so I'll wake up and I'll still wait about an hour and a half before I actually have my first meal, drink my cup of tea. And I think I'm getting, so a day in the life of how I eat. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I already went over my breakfast with you. My bacon, eggs, avocado, oil, mayo, and ground mustard, and then my spinach with coconut oil. I literally eat the same thing pretty much every single day. It keeps things easy. It allows me to stay on track. I don't vary off. It's safe. I think just consistency is key if you want to be successful. And then for my second meal of the day, I do a massive salad in this big bowl. And then I do 2 full tablespoons of organic olive oil, a whole bunch of sea salt or pink Himalayan salt. I chop up a baby cucumber, throw it in there. I do 2 tablespoons of hemp hearts. I usually do like a half a tablespoon of flaxseed, and then I'll do a tablespoon of goat cheese.
I love it.
And I call it my power salad, and then typically I'll throw in a little bit of like sliced almonds too. And man, that thing fills me up, and I'm
volume.
Yeah, volume. I am set. I call it my power salad, and then let's see. I will prior to the gym, I do a tablespoon of MCT oil to give me that immediate energy.
How's your stomach handle that?
So funny you asked that. When I first started incorporating in the MCT oil, I actually threw up twice. Like, threw up. I didn't know about it. So, I mean, I self-educated myself on keto. The only thing I knew is my doctor said I should try it. So I did hours of research, but there's only so much you can find out until like trial and error. So apparently it's very hard on your stomach, MCT oil. And I found that out the hard way. So I threw up twice on it, and I almost did 3 times, but now my body's just used to it. It's
adapted to it, yeah.
Yes, but you can't, for me personally, completely take it on an empty stomach. I don't know, I've not tried it since.
I'm with you on that, and a lot of times, the reason I ask is sometimes people like get disaster pants from MCT, and like
that does not happen with me.
I haven't had it, but I've had so many people that have reported back to me.
Well,
like, whoa.
I used to be like, that used to be a normal thing for me. So the fact that that's not happened for me, I mean.
That's huge. That's huge. And I think a lot of people can transition. I use a lot of MCT oil powders.
Right, I heard that's better.
They're less harsh because it's not as fast digesting. I think MCT oil is great. It's just introducing it quick can be a little bit challenging.
Yeah, so probably start with a half a tablespoon and work your way up. But I forgot to add prior to the gym, because I usually do the gym in the evening time, like 6. My times change. But I would typically, in between my salad and that tablespoon of MCT oil, have some form of like ground beef, like 80-20 ground beef with some broccoli to throw in there too, and maybe some butter on the broccoli. And then, gym time comes around, my MCT oil. Post-workout, I'll have some keto protein powder, or I will just have 100% whey protein powder, depending on what I have available at the house for my immediate post-protein. And then for dinner, it's usually like a piece of salmon and just a small piece of salmon, because by then that's a lot of protein I've had, and just some more vegetables like asparagus or something like that.
And do you track your macros? So what is a typical day like for you? Like calorie, macros?
So I have a naturally faster metabolism in general. So my calorie intake's around 2,000 calories.
Wow.
Yes. So my protein intake is about 100 grams of protein. Net carbs are about 20 net carbs. And then my fat, about 200 grams of fat.
Love it.
It's so funny. I love when I tell people who...
What?
I'm consuming 200 grams of fat, like, what?
That's amazing. I mean, you're clearly in shape.
Thank you.
That's amazing. So what are you most excited about? We talked a little bit today, a lot about some changes that are going on. You've learned a lot, I'm sure, and you're continuously learning. I'm continuously learning every day more about the keto space, but what excites you about it?
I mean, what excites me is like the power, like I kind of mentioned earlier, of food and what it can do for your body. There are so many diseases going around, all because of like what we are putting into our body. And I'm living proof that my diet has truly affected me. And the fact that like the ketogenic diet, there's extensive research behind this diet, which is so cool. And in regard to cancer and cancer patients and things like that, I mean, that's powerful stuff. And I guess what excites me the most is that I guess apparently it's starting to become like this new fad diet, but the diet's not, it's actually not a fad. It's, as we know, it's been around for a very, very, very long time. And I just found out today we were actually born in ketosis, which I never thought about that, but that actually makes sense. And that it's just becoming more widespread, and more people are finding out about this and are getting cured. And it's helping control not just people, like not just helping manage people with diabetes, but I mean, from some of the research I've done, people have completely stopped having to use their medications who are diabetic.
Yeah, and there's a whole company called Virta Health that's literally taking people who are type 2 diabetics, putting them on this lifestyle, and oftentimes they're publishing research showing that people are either significantly reducing or completely coming off medication. It's amazing.
Yeah, and the same thing goes for people with cancer. I mean, there is this one documentary I was watching how a woman was diagnosed with cancer, and she shifted her diet to complete like standard ketogenic diet, and she went back to her doctor X amount of months, I don't know how long later, and the doctor was like jaw dropped. He's like, if you would not have been my patient, I would have never even known you had cancer.
Right.
And you know, the fact is, cancer itself, it cannot grow unless it has, and you might, please correct me if I'm wrong, glucose present.
Yeah, well, cancer cells thrive off of glucose.
Okay, see, yes. Yeah, I mean, that in itself should make people like say, oh my God. And you know, everyone says everything causes cancer these days. Well,
right. And
if everything causes cancer, then that's all the more reason why you should transfer to a ketogenic diet.
Right. And we had today Dr. Angela Poff. She was in the crowd, and so like her lab's doing a ton of work on this. Her and Dom D'Agostino.
She was amazing.
Amazing. And then there's Dr. Adrian Scheck and Dr. Thomas Seyfried, all amazing individuals who are doing work specifically in that area in conjunction with like the standard of care. They're utilizing ketogenic therapies, and like the results thus far are profound. Like, absolutely profound. So I agree.
The fact that, and then she's even, you know, there's a whole sanctuary with animals and dogs.
Yeah, Keto Pet Sanctuary.
I'm an animal lover. I have a Pomeranian. I'm a fur mommy. So that's amazing. Definitely, I do feed my dog grain-free dog food, but want to
look the full switch.
Yeah, look more into that, making sure the treats that I'm giving her are, you know, aligning with the diet.
And that's one of the things, we're going to be putting out a ton more information on that. I'm learning myself. I just adopted a dog actually last Sunday. It's breaking my heart that like he's here. His name's Scooter. He's a tripod. He's got 3 legs.
You're so sweet.
And so he's literally the most amazing thing that's ever come into my life. And so it's been a change for him of watching how his diet's changed.
Mm-hmm.
Like I cook for him and all this stuff, and so I'm excited to have Victoria on and talk about like what else do I need to be doing? Like, do I incorporate in some cauliflower rice into his diet? Like, how do I do this? And I'm learning, so I think it's an immense opportunity. And you know, one of the things we're seeing is a lot of people are coming over from the pup world, and they're like, well, if I'm feeding my dog this, why don't I start eating this? And then vice versa. Like, you have people like myself who are eating keto, and it's like, well, if I ever got a dog, I knew they were going to eat keto, and so it's completely changing his life.
Right.
And so I love the interplay between like our best friends.
So you are making all your foods, your dog's food.
Yeah. I'm making it, and then
making me look bad.
Yeah, well, and there's a ton of keto companies now that are coming out with dog food.
Mm-hmm.
Like Valiant Pet has one. I just ordered one offline the other day. I'll have to share it in the notes, but I forget the name of it. But there's a lot more that's coming out that's catering to this very low carb.
Yeah, I get my dog's dog food off of Amazon. It's not cheap. It comes in a powdered form, and then you mix it up with liquid. But it's high quality food for sure. But yeah, definitely, I think that if you can make something from your home, knowing where the sources is coming from is the way to go for sure.
It's amazing. And so you've been a wealth of knowledge. So thank you so much for coming on. But before we go, I think a lot of people are hopefully going to be impacted by your story. I'm sure there's people that are listening that have gone through or are going through similar trials and tribulations and will be touched by your ability to overcome a lot of that. And now you're helping so many more people. But where can people find you? Social media, website, where can they find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So currently I'm working on my website. It's there, but not promoting it. So right now they can find me on my Instagram, and it is NRxFitness. The NR stands for Natalie Rose. Rose is my middle name. So NRxFitness is my social media Instagram handle. You guys can check me out there.
Awesome, guys. So definitely check her out. Hope you took a lot away from today's podcast. We're going to be having a lot more of these quick keto segments, really jumping on and just answering some of the basics and telling their story, because I want to highlight people that are doing amazing things in the industry, people that are helping others in the right way, and whose lives have completely been transformed. So thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you so much.